David Menconi is winner of the Society's 2020 Book Award. Danny Romaine Powell chaired the selection committee and wrote the following citation. Each year since 2003, the North Caroliniana Society has presented an award for the book published during the previous year that captures the essence of North Carolina by contributing powerfully to an understanding of the state. Competition for this award is always keen. This year was no exception. Once again, as in the preceding year, the committee was obliged to meet not in person but by email and by phone to discuss the handful of nominated books. It became quickly apparent to the committee, Jeff Crow, Michael Hill, and Danny Powell, that David Menconi's Step It Up and Go, the story of North Carolina popular music from Blind Boy Fuller to Doc Watson to Nina Simone and Superchunk, was an overriding favorite. Known as the Dean of North Carolina Music Critics, Mr. Menconi covered music for the Raleigh News and Observer to close to 3 decades. He knows his stuff. Where else would you learn that as a child in Chapel Hill, singer James Taylor fashioned flutes from pieces of his family's garden hose? Or that in 2014, the Avett brothers sang Amazing Grace at Arthur Smith's funeral? In a low-key but authoritative style, Mr. Menconi begins with the music from the 1920s that grew out of the Piedmont's mill towns, and he brings us to the present. Along the way, we meet Elizabeth Cotton, born in 1893 in an area that's now Carborough, who wrote Freight Train as a teenager, inspired by the passing trains near her house. And blues guitarist Etta Baker of Morganton, whose acoustic guitar played old-time blues as true as Mr. Menconi says he'd ever heard, each note hanging in the air like humidity. And cotton mill worker turned recording artist Charlie Poole, about whom Mr. Menconi writes, "If Bill Monroe is father of bluegrass, Charlie Poole is at the very least its drunk great uncle." In addition to the anecdotes, Mr. Menconi has assembled a stunning collection of black and white photographs. So congratulations, David Menconi, and thank you. You have given our state an invaluable and enduring gift, one that will inform, delight, and entertain for decades. Congratulations, David.
I came to North Carolina about 30 years ago, not knowing a soul, to take the music writer job at the Raleigh News and Observer. And a very vivid memory of my early days here was turning on the radio in the car one night and hearing one of Raleigh's rock stations playing that old 1970s warhorse, Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird. I lunged for the dial, as I always do when that one comes on, and switched over to Raleigh's other big commercial rock station, which, as it happened, was also playing, yes, Freebird. The only thing to do was head for the left side of the dial, where the college and public stations dwell, and that proved to be where I hung out most of the time. And as I did, I came to discover that North Carolina is a state with an amazing musical past, present, and future. I was already familiar with some of the broad brush highlights, Doc and Earl, but North Carolina music was always surprising me. Oh, Nina Simone is from here? Wow. John Coltrane too? And Link Ray, Libba Cotton, Let's Active, Andy Griffith, and half of James Brown's best band? There were lots of other people, places, and things to learn about, more obscure but no less vital. Like Charlie Poole, a pre-bluegrass string band legend from the Roaring Twenties. The Five Royales, R&B pioneers from Winston-Salem. And UNC alumnus Orville Campbell's very quirky label here in Chapel Hill, Colonial Records. I was fortunate to work for 28 years at a newspaper that valued storytelling and history. So I was permitted to roam the state to document a lot of what I learned. And at a certain point, all this wonderful music and history started to seem like one big, interconnected story worthy of a book. Turning that into this book, Step It Up and Go, was a challenge, a long haul spanning many years. It was a true labor of love, and I needed help from a long list of enablers, starting with the folks at UNC Press. I would also like to extend gratitude to Suzanne Brown, who hired me at the News and Observer way back when and was my editor and guide for many years. To my best friend and fellow soldier in the writing wars, Scott Hewler. Kindness Ninja Joe Newberry, and other sounding board spirit guides for expert and invaluable advice. And finally to my wife, Martha Burns, who has always been patient and gracious when I'm on the book writing grind. Thanks to all of them, and also to the North Caroliniana Society for this award, which feels like a marvelous acknowledgement of all the work that went into Step It Up and Go. I am honored and thrilled. Thank you.